We can't keep driving the cost down for logistics businesses and then the customers expecting this premium, shiny, 101% class service.
Letters are declining to about 10% a year.
Customers are demanding more, aren't they, daily, and rightly so.
I sometimes quote, we're bigger than the British Army on the number of people that we actually have on a day-to-day basis.
People would not think this of Royal Mail.
So-
We see you as very traditional, old school, maybe too big to pivot.
But if you look further into the future, we'll become more of a parcels business that delivers letters.
All of this tech is exciting and it is the future, but you cannot escape that human-to-human engagement and interaction, seeing the whites of someone's eyes and building that rapport.
Single biggest USP that we have is that interaction that we have on the doorstep. You know, we have a duty to make sure that Royal Mail's around for the next 500 years.
Welcome to Let's Be Honest About Logistics podcast. I'm Nikki Jones, the CEO and founder of Vidu Group, and I'm joined here today by Alistair Cochrane, who's the CEO for Royal Mail. So welcome to our podcast, Alistair. Thank you
Thanks,
for
Nikki.
joining us. Should we start a little bit about your journey?
Well, thank you, first and foremost, for
welcome.
having me here today. I have been in the logistics industry since 1986, so a long time. Started my career in TNT, started as a sales executive, believe it or not. Left after 12 months, thought the grass was greener on the other side. Came back with my tail between my legs, and then my career then took off from there. So sales executive, sales manager, regional manager, general manager, regional director. And then I had the opportunity just after the Olympics in Australia, around about 2000, I think 2000-ish it was. An opportunity came up to be a regional director in Australia. So I took the plunge. My wife and I got married just before we went there.
Wow.
And off to Australia. So 3.5 years over there. The Australian business wasn't doing that well at the time. And I took a business that was losing money, significant amount of money. Within about 3 years, we turned it around.
Wow.
So I ended up coming back to the UK. Probably at the time, family was of an age, parents were getting of an age as well, so it was time to come
Need
back.
to be around.
I started back in TNT working for business solutions, dealing with banks and checks and a lot of that type of, and the same day business, believe it or not. Then chief operating officer there, or ops director, and then MD for TNT between 2010 and 2014. Left there, believe it or not, worked for Amy for a while. I can bore you to death about Tarmac if you want me to. Did an interim slot with them. And then started, believe it or not, working for a part of Royal Mail, which was Parcel Force at the time.
Yes.
So I did a couple of years there as the ops director. Went to work for Whistle for 5 years. That's where I really learned about letters. So they were a business that, an aggregator really, between letters and parcels. And they moved into fulfillment within my tenure there. Left Whistle after 5 very, very good years there. And then Martin Seidenberg, who I'd known, he'd been promoted to the CEO of the IDS group. And I literally went in to have a coffee with him, and here we are 2 and a bit years later. So I did a couple of years as the chief operating officer, and I have now been interim CEO and then just recently CEO of Royal Mail. Very,
Amazing.
very privileged to be in the role that I now am.
Yeah, fabulous. And just for those that don't know in the audience, tell us a little bit about Royal Mail in terms of its size and the sort of growth plan and strategy, because I think it's changed a lot, especially in the last sort of 12 to 18 months in terms of new routes to market, maybe a little bit more innovative. You're doing a lot more around sustainability. So was that led by yourself? Was that initiatives you've rolled out?
Let me just explain a little bit about Royal Mail. 500 years old. Right. So when you look back at logistics companies, this organization has been here for a very long time. And of course, it's been traditionally in the letter space. Letters are declining to about 10% a year. Outside of COVID time, you'd say about 10% a year. So the businesses had to pivot into new areas. It used to do some parcels, and it's moved more and more into parcels. So we're still a letters organization that delivers parcels. But if you look further into the future, we'll become more of a parcels business
That
that
does
delivers
letters.
letters.
Yeah.
We have a fantastic workforce across the country. We have posties who deliver to your doorstep, my doorstep, everybody's doorstep when they've got letters or parcels to be delivered. The engagement that we have on the doorstep is probably out and out one of the biggest assets that we have as an organization. So everybody knows their postie.
That's it.
Yeah. And of course, that legacy has meant that, we have a duty to make sure that Royal Mail's around for the next 500 years. I can't honestly say that I'm responsible for the transformation.
Okay.
It's been transforming over a number of years.
Yeah.
My role, both in terms of being Chief Operating Officer and then into the CEO role, is to accelerate that transformation. We need to become more innovative in what we do. Automation's becoming a real thing.
Yeah.
Efficiency has really started to come out. I'll talk about automation a bit later, but the organization is looking to be the nation's go-to delivery service. We've been that way for 500 years. We want to make sure that we continue to be that way. So the transformation, I think, is both in terms of the relationship we have with all of the country, the nation's delivery service, and making sure that we are a sustainable organization, a sustainable business. We employ a lot of people. I sometimes quote, we're bigger than the British Army on the number of people that we actually have on a day-to-day basis.
And how do you attract those people? Have these individuals sort of organically grown over the years within the business? Do you do sort of initiatives to get new talent into the group?
All of the above.
Yeah.
So if you look at the average age of a postie today, it's about 46. So we've had individuals who, people used to speak about the banking industry and various industries that were job for life. And I still think to this day, job for life is Royal Mail. People have been in Royal Mail for years.
They're lifers, yeah.
Exactly that. I went to somebody who was 50 years in the organization, and we celebrated his 50 years in the company,
Wow.
a guy called Rocky Hudson. And that's what the business is about. So you can talk about people who started as, postboys, and then have just seen their career flourish. And we see the ability for a pathway as well for individuals. So you might start as a postie. I've got 5,000 managers across the company. A lot of them started as posties.
Wow.
Yeah, and then
People wouldn't know that, would they?
Correct.
You just think that's separate to the corporate world.
If I go back to my T&T days, it was all about homegrown timber. Well, Royal Mail was full of homegrown timber, and you see it in all facets of the organization. When we talk about attractiveness, we do a lot. Some of it's friends and family.
Yeah.
We do a lot of friends and family
Like
at Christmas.
referrals and things, yeah.
Correct. And believe it or not, we have individuals who come to work for us for 8 to 10 weeks at peak every year. It's the only time, they only work for those 8 to 10 weeks, but they love coming to the organization at its busiest, of course. In the operation, we'll have, on average, about 110,000 people in the operation. At peak, that's 140,000.
It's another world, isn't it?
It is huge. The scale of it is huge. So the opportunity is huge. We've got 1,250 delivery offices covering the length and breadth of the country, including Northern Ireland, and the islands that support all the other communities as well. And of course, with that, you have 37 mail centres, so all the processing that happens on letters there. You've got 5 regional parcel centres and 2 super hubs. So it's quite an organisation when you consider its scale.
Yeah.
So the attractiveness is that you can start as a postie and then work your way up through all the different ranks as you see.
That's interesting. So what's the highest ranked individual who is a postie? What's their
That's a
role
good
within
question.
Royal Mail?
Well, if I said to you that my national operations director, a guy called Ricky Macaulay, started as a postie.
How many years ago?
Oh God, a long time ago.
That's
I think
wild.
he's 30 years now. And he's a great guy. He's Scottish. He lives in Scotland. He spends 3 to 4 days of his week down in the operation, in and around London. And that just gives you an idea. But look, there's many, many cases like that.
That's crazy.
Across the organisation.
So really understanding the business from the ground up then.
if I was looking back at my own career,
Mm-hmm.
it's the one thing that has stood me in the best stead
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't start at a level.
Yeah.
I grew up with the business.
Mm-hmm.
Already, it was TNT at the time, but even into this role, a couple of years in the operation, making sure you fully understood how this all works,
Mm-hmm.
then sitting where I now sit, gives you a much greater appreciation, not just of the people and what they do,
Yeah.
but then also how the thing works, how
Yeah.
this all ticks.
Well, you're very focused on people, aren't you? Sort of people, partnerships, relationships. I know from, knowing you for a long time, that's something you're very passionate about. What changes do you think you will see? Because obviously your business is evolving from a tech perspective. It's, heavily involved now in AI. You've got your sustainability, you've got your innovation. How do you think that will affect potentially how you recruit or even how you retain? Because if people have been there for a long time, do you find they are not that receptive to change, or are they all quite keen to sort of go on this new journey?
Look, I think our attractiveness is the size and scale that we are.
Yeah.
And, whether you're a mother who has seen her kids grow up and you want to come back into work,
Mm-hmm.
or you're an apprentice who really wants to see their career start and flourish through the company,
Yeah.
Royal Mail offers all of that.
Yeah.
So I think that is key.
Mm-hmm.
The attractiveness has got to be how they see the company positioned today
Mm-hmm.
and how they see it going forward. The brand stands for a lot. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter what day of the week anybody goes out and about, you'll see Royal Mail.
Yeah.
Yeah, whether it's a
It's a
Royal Mail
household
van.
name, isn't it? And a
Correct.
global brand. Yeah.
So you'll see the Posties, you see the vans. We've got circa 55,000 vehicles that service the organisation.
Wow.
So you can't then get away from not seeing that.
No.
Of vehicles, you talk about sustainability. Sustainability is really, really important.
Mm-hmm.
And we have been very, very keen to make sure that we embrace ESG
Mm-hmm.
and make sure that we are a sustainable organization for
Mm-hmm.
the future. We've got 8,000 electric vehicles.
Wow.
So that's vans.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them are vans. But I've now got the first electric HGVs. So we've now got units
Wow.
that we have positioned up in the Midlands and also in Warrington, and we're doing runs to test and see how that technology now works. So as technology improves, as
Yeah.
battery life gets bigger, there's more and more that you can do in that electric
Yes.
electric field. But we do it with all our buildings as well. We're looking at
Okay.
all areas whereby we can demonstrate both to the employees that work for us,
Mm-hmm.
to the attractiveness of anybody coming into the company,
Yeah.
to our customers and the public in general, how sustainable we want to become as an organization. If I talk about efficiency and automation,
Yeah.
that's a big unlock for us as we look to the future. You've got digital pillar boxes. I've got
Yes.
115 or 115,000 pillar boxes across the country. Yeah.
Wow.
So as e-commerce
And
is
are they being
becoming,
well received? Is that something that people are
depends,
adopting?
very much depends. If you're somebody who dons a topper,
Mm-hmm.
that go on top of our pillar boxes,
Yeah.
probably not so, because we put a solar panel on the top, which means
Okay.
we can't have the toppers anymore. But there's 115,000 of these pillar boxes. There's 5,000 that we're going to put as digital.
Wow.
The benefit that gives is that you want to drop off a parcel,
Yeah.
whether that's vinted or a return that you've actually got.
Mm-hmm.
You want something that's local to you
Yeah.
and of easy reach.
Mm-hmm.
So you can now go up to a pillar box, show a label to a scanner on the front of it. It will drop down a barrel and you can post your item.
Okay.
So something up to about a shoebox, we can actually get into a pillar box.
Interesting.
And you can do letters as well. So it still has both.
Yeah.
But if I then take that further, if you think about it out of home, and the world that you and I grew up in, out of home wasn't really a thing. It's
No.
becoming more and more of what people want of ease of use. Do they talk about something called the slipper test,
Yes.
right? And it's how far I can walk in my
In your
slippers
slippers, yeah.
before you pick up something or drop something
Yeah.
off. So lockers, Royal Mail lockers, Quadient or third-party lockers.
Mm-hmm.
We're now looking at kiosks as we then look at, Daniel Kretinsky has relations with Sainsbury's, so we're in dialogue with Sainsbury's,
Okay.
whether that is lockers that are outside or whether it ends being kiosks that are inside. The whole out-of-home experience is becoming more and more
So
of a
that's quite a
thing.
big part of your growth plan now then.
Correct. Well, you've always had the post office. We were one organization way back.
Yeah.
We aren't any longer, but we've both continued that relationship and leveraged off each other. There's over 11,000 post offices. We are present in all of those. It's not single source any longer.
No.
It used to be just Royal Mail. You've now got you've now got DPD who are at that. So we also branched out, and under Daniel Kretinsky's ownership, we bought 49% of Collect Plus.
Wow.
And that then gives us the ability to create Royal Mail shops. So we can then transact over the counter. So if you think about out of home today, it's probably 85+% of drop off. So it's more of a return service. It's going to become more and more of a collect from service as well. So we are gearing ourselves as we see culture change, people's way of working change. You've got to be ready for that. If you think about automation and efficiency, I've mentioned the digital pillar boxes, but we've got so many different programs going. I've got AGVs happening now in our Midland Super Hub. So that's automated guided vehicles. So we put everything into a yoke. It's a containerized
You
network.
love this. I can see your face lighting up when you're talking about all this tech.
That really, really excites me. Yeah. When you start seeing the tech that we can bring to make what can be in some instances, very mundane tasks that much easier. We have lots and lots of very, very good people in the organization. The AGVs come in to assist what we currently do. We'll have 450 of them on ground that take a yoke from the sorting machine to the trailer. So it creates efficiency, it creates speed. I've got 40-foot trailer today. To tip a 40-foot trailer fully laden.
This is like your toys, isn't it?
Fully laden can take up to 3 hours. So our innovations team, our engineering team, have created a trailer that the floor is a belt.
No.
So as the customer puts all their product onto the back of the trailer, it then comes across to us. We connect it up to the dock, and the belt that the parcels are on runs slower than the one it's coming off onto.
Right.
So we can tip a fully laden 40-foot trailer in 6.5 minutes.
That's unbelievable.
That's the future, Nikki. That's where you really see innovation and automation that's really transforming how Royal Mail is perceived in the market.
People would not think this of Royal Mail. We see you as very traditional, old school, maybe too big to pivot or turn. So this is really quite exciting.
It's really not that. It's really quite innovative in its way. The business is going through, and will continue to go through for many years to come, a huge transformation. As we bring, I think, Royal Mail in very, very much into. We've been around. The brand's strong. It's making sure that we are stronger going into what the future holds for us.
Well, in essence, if you're looking at what, going from letters to parcels, but, moving forward, you're probably going to become more of a parcel company that does letters. With everything that's happening behind the scenes and with the volumes of what you can actually cater for, it is effectively going to become a bit more of a one-stop shop, isn't it, as time evolves?
Yeah, correct. I mean, parcels is a big thing for us now. So if you think of peak, our busiest day in peak, we had 8.2 million parcels in the network and over 30 million letters.
No.
So it's huge. It really is quite. When you think of delivering that type of volume, and you're delivering that at peak, ready for Christmas. So our parcels proposition, whether that is customers that we collect from here in the UK, or whether that's inbound volume coming from China or the States, we've got to be prepared and ready to make sure that in a very changing market as well, I may add, that we make those flows as easy as possible for the customer to transact with. So, and the Vinted, business, we've become partners with Vinted. Vinted is a great organization where you think of what they've done to transform that whole space. And what we are trying to do is make sure that we can make it easy for their customers to transact and use their
Well, the
services.
speed of what they're getting, you literally put it into a locker or whatever it may be, or you take it to a post office, and 24-hour, 48-hour sometimes turnaround, whether it's through you or whether it's through another locker business. I was dumbfounded by that, for
Yeah,
£2.80 or
correct,
£3, whatever you're
correct.
paying at the current rate.
The price point in the UK is quite low
Mm.
to get a home delivery, So I think the economies of scale and the efficiency that out of home brings will actually change all of that.
Mm.
It'll make it where one, ease of use is
Yes.
key. I think customer journey is another one.
Mm-hmm.
Making sure that your tech delivery and your interaction with whatever online service, digitization, and also the information that we're actually giving to the end user, not necessarily just the sender, but the end user as well,
Yeah.
is equally as important. We entered into a process over 18 months ago where we barcoded and tagged over 850,000 Yorks that we've got in the network. So I will soon be able to say what parcel is in what York, is in what
Right.
trailer, going to what depot. So it creates that visibility. It creates that insight, that the customer wants.
Well, they
Everybody's
do,
data hungry,
for sure,
And of
yeah.
course, you'll have a mobile phone. We all use them. Sometimes I look at how often I use mine and it scares me, But people want data.
Yeah,
People
they
want it
do.
at their fingertips as well.
And that's the key, I think, to be able to, because customers are demanding more, aren't they, daily, and rightly so in some instances, but it's all got to be comparable. We can't keep driving the cost down for logistics businesses and then the customers expecting this premium, shiny, 101% class service. There's got to be a happy medium, hasn't there?
Yeah, balance has to come into
Yeah.
it, but you have to be able to deliver what you commit to. So all of my team, all of the people that we have in the organization are fully committed, both in terms of the USO, the Universal Service Obligation that we have, which is all about the letters business,
Yeah.
about making sure that we offer the best service that we can to the market. We've got USO reform that we're working through at the moment. That will change what happens in that letter space.
Yeah.
If you look at the flows that come into our network, Monday, Tuesday is probably the lightest 2 days of the week. Wednesday through Saturday are the busiest time.
Yeah.
So what USO reform does, first class letters and parcels remain going 6 days a week. To some customers 7 days a week. Whereas second class letters will be alternate day.
Right. Okay.
So what that does is that then starts to flatten off, if you like, the volumes that are coming into the network, makes the consistency of the resource required to deliver that volume easier for us to forecast and manage.
Right. Okay.
Which then means you can get an improved level of service. I'd be the first one to say that we get chastised in the market by others about the level of service we actually offer. We endeavor to make sure we offer the best service that we can. We have pockets of challenge, whether that's sick absence, whether that's recruitment challenges. There's always things
But everyone's
that are
facing that, aren't they?
correct.
Yeah.
But we're in the spotlight all the time. So it's making sure that we are offering the best service that we can, every single day of the week.
Yeah. And how would you say the business has sort of transitioned from a sort of domestic and international split? Are you doing quite a lot more on international now?
Yes, we are, especially from an import point of view.
Yes.
China volume coming into the UK is a huge part of what we do.
Yeah.
We trade with all the Chinese marketplaces, as you
Well,
would expect.
they love the royal in the title, don't
Correct,
they? Royal
and
Mail.
also they like the ease of use, I think, as well. So we collect from just about every broker there is in the UK.
Okay.
Bringing volume in, we've got volume coming into different airports across the country. So again, that's become very, very much part of what we do.
Yeah.
But marketplaces and the change, when I talk about things that I've seen that are different. You've got a lot of people who are now using marketplaces to sell their goods.
Yeah.
Yeah. And marketplaces have become really, it used to be all Amazon, didn't it?
Yeah.
It's not all Amazon. You got Temu, you got Shein, you got all sorts of, TikTok. There's lots of different, eBay is another. So there's lots of marketplaces that require us to perform a service for them as well.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, it's a shop window, isn't it? No longer is it just walking down the high street.
Yeah,
Your shop window is online as much as it
for
is walking
sure.
down the
Well, it's
street.
sadly the demise of the high street a little bit now, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. You keep hoping that it'll
Come
come
back
back and so
stronger.
forth,
Yeah,
but it's just the way that the world
the
has
world
changed.
is
People
definitely.
like speed,
Yeah.
ease of use, things
Mm-hmm.
at their fingertips. So I think that all logistics companies, not just Royal Mail,
Yeah.
have to make sure that they're pivoting towards that.
And that being said, are you seeing a lot more uptake on the return side of things then, with people shopping more on marketplace and online?
Yeah, returns are a big thing for us.
Yeah.
I mean, look, we've just come off a peak, so what you find is you run in through peak up into Christmas, and then January is returns time, right?
Nothing fits us.
Nothing
We've got to
fits,
get the next
or,
size
why did I
up.
get that present from that person? All of that. So returns become a big thing for us,
Yeah.
especially on the first couple of 3 weeks of January.
Mm-hmm.
But they're a big thing for us right the way through the year,
Okay.
So we interact with a lot of retailers.
Mm-hmm.
We interact with all the marketplaces and trying to give that, again, it comes back to what you're doing with out of home.
Mm-hmm.
The closer we can bring the transaction to the individual
Yeah.
makes it easier for them to connect with us.
And they want choice, don't they?
They want absolutely, they want choice, and simplicity.
Mm-hmm.
I think speaks volumes. One of the things, a big change for Royal Mail is we've been purchased.
Yes.
First time in our history that the business has then been purchased by a single organization. We were a PLC before, and we're now owned by the EP Group and Daniel Kretinsky, who I've met on numerous occasions. And it's not a change of direction, it's
No.
a change of ownership.
Yeah.
But he is equally as committed to making sure that Royal Mail is a sustainable organization for the future. He's very, very passionate about out of home, very passionate, was right behind us on Collect Plus and areas like that. So he's really, he's a great guy to meet, very formidable, he runs a big organization. When you think he's got interest in Sainsbury's and West Ham and European businesses as well. It's good. It brings a different energy to the organization. I think it's a good thing.
It's quite nice. He's got a bit of a different slant on things as well, a fresh pair of eyes, isn't it? Because you've got the knowledge and the legacy within Royal Mail, but for someone to come in with a fresh pair of eyes, ideas, maybe changing your way of thinking, because you're a logistics oracle, the years you've had in the industry and the trends you've seen and the innovation and things that have maybe not worked necessarily as well as they should. And, you've had pain, I'm sure, from being in the industry, but he's not been in that world, has he? So he'll look at things a bit different.
But remember, he was a shareholder. So he has shares in Postal, he has shares in
so he was still quite close to the businesses.
So he's been part of the organization in the PLC world previously. So I think some of this hasn't become new to him.
True.
He's got a much greater insight into it now, and we do a lot of sharing and explaining what we do, because being the size that we are and also being around for as long as we have, the intricacies of what we actually have here are huge. It's sometimes you can't even think of the scale because it's so big. So we've done a lot of sharing and learning from their side, but also we've taken some really, really good steers. He's been a really useful individual to sit with and understand, how he sees the world.
Yes, well, that's good. So if somebody shadowed you for a day, what do you think would surprise them the most?
The time I get up in the morning.
Go on.
So I get up about 4:15.
Oh.
Whenever I'm coming down to London.
Okay.
Yeah. So I live in the Midlands.
Yeah.
I get the 6:20 train as I come into London. I'm behind my desk for about 7:45 in the morning. So the day starts early. Yeah. I use the time on the train to do any reading or any getting prepped for meetings that I'm doing.
Yeah.
I do a lot of engagement. So more often than not, when I'm coming into London, that time is pretty much other people's time.
Yeah, okay.
As we sit and then look or review the business or look at what we're actually doing. I get out and about as much as I can, visiting locations and seeing people that are actually doing the job on a day in, day out basis.
Okay, nice.
It's something, it's funny, I used to talk about this when I was at TNT, go out and smell the diesel.
Yeah.
And we need to do that more. Yeah. So I think that's what people would be surprised. The time that you're getting up.
Yeah.
the interaction, the amount of reading that you have to do and getting prepped for the meetings. What you don't want to do is just sit and read the slides as they're being presented, or
For sure. Yeah.
getting prepped and being ready for it means that you can interact a lot more and a lot better when you're looking at whether it's a project or whether you're looking at a service
Yeah.
improvement. It's a whole raft of different
So
things.
do you actually like to go out then and meet the customers? It's not.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that's
I'll
yeah,
meet,
it's
the
interesting.
benefit I've got. Sales was where I started.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I quite enjoy. I
That
really
will
enjoy.
always be in your blood.
Okay,
Once you're in
exactly.
sales,
Yeah,
you're
you
in
don't
the
leave
buzz
it, do
of
you?
it. No, no, no,
Exactly.
no.
So, look, I enjoy going out there. I was out seeing a customer just last week.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, because of the size of the job and the job I do, I don't
Mm-hmm.
get out as often as I'd
Of
like.
course.
Yeah. We spend a lot of time out in the field at Christmas. I encourage, as Royal Mail have for years, that all of our head office teams, all of the functions that we actually have, go out to
Yeah.
support the operation.
Okay.
So it's honestly, it's one of the things that has blown me away since coming into Royal Mail, the way that all of our employees, when we're at our busiest, are in the operation, really pushing on
Yeah.
and supporting the postie, doing what the postie does. That's great. We have things like RMTV. We have an RMTV that follow us around. So they
Yeah,
take,
that's wild.
it
They're just
is.
following you around
Yeah,
and
they come around
videoing
and
you
they'll
all
meet
day.
us in different places. Not just me. It'll be the whole of the express board, or they'll be going out into different things. We have a huge charity that we do with British Heart Foundation.
Right.
We have our own internal social media platform, Robin. So it doesn't matter whether you want to go and get your pay slip or find out about, you want to connect with somebody in the business, you can go to Robin and find them directly on there. So it becomes a one-stop shop. Huge into well-being.
Yeah.
Making sure that our colleagues up and down the country are both looking after themselves and we're looking after them.
Yeah, that's a big thing now. And I think since COVID, it's affected people a lot because
Massively.
logistics kept moving. It was one of the many industries that, boomed in that time. Everybody was a little bit under the cosh, weren't they? And then we come back to normality and it's a little bit, people haven't been the same, I don't think. There's been a real
correct.
shift.
And if you think about Royal Mail, we had key worker status.
Exactly.
So, we become very, very important to that connection that the nation has with all residents up and down the country. There was no time off.
No.
It didn't stop. In fact, parcels in the network got greater because,
Yeah.
of course, people weren't going down a high street. They weren't going to a shop to buy something. The only way to actually get them was through the logistics industry. So it was huge, and I think things have been different. I think employers, and individuals like myself in organizations have to be a lot more conscious of how we look after the people we've got working for us.
Yeah.
We have Unum that we have working with us, which is a service provider that we work with concurrently, and that gives a 24/7 doctor service.
Wow.
So, we try to offer products to our employees that they can use in their day-to-day activities.
Okay. And did you see a shift then do you have people primarily in the office or are you quite comfortable with remote-based, hybrid?
A bit of both.
Yeah,
So, look,
okay.
we have a 3 out of 5 policy.
Okay.
And, I see people in the office every day. So it purely depends. I think COVID did bring that change.
Yes.
You do miss things though. I was once quoted that you miss things like that conversation at the photocopier or that.
Well, it's a lonely world, especially if you're in sales sometimes. And sometimes if you're looking at that wall and you've had a bad day, you need someone to put their arm around you and say, look, tomorrow's another day.
Yeah,
You
correct.
can get over this. It's fine. You can get into a bit of a bad headspace if you're just on your own. Some people don't have families, do they?
Correct.
Or wives or
It's-
husbands.
But it's also meeting people who are in the same boat as you.
I think
you
so,
know.
yeah.
But also as well as that, when you're actually talking about that interaction, if it's not on a screen, and it was on a screen, wasn't it, most of the time, when you were going through COVID, that inter-office conversation
I think, yeah.
that is, sometimes you don't appreciate how powerful that actually is. So absolutely, you know, and making sure that people do see others in the same boat as they are,
Yeah,
you know.
definitely. And different departments, they can collaborate and they can share and they can go out with drivers and they're talking to ops. And
Correct.
you've got that background of ops and sales. It's very valuable. So, do you think your customers are demanding anything different from you at the moment? Because obviously you are evolving, aren't you?
Yeah, greater visibility,
Right.
ease of use,
Mm-hmm.
you know, doing what you say you're going to do.
Yeah.
Um, you know, we've got a huge drive in making sure that we can embrace that.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, you know, and I'm not saying that we don't today, but even greater than we do.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, all of the programs that we've actually put in,
Yeah.
whether that's the, you know, the tagging of the yolks so we can give greater visibility, whether that's the website that's showing where parcels are in the network,
Yeah.
you know. Ironically, if I go back to when I first started, when you went out to see a customer, you had all the knowledge.
Yeah.
You were bringing the service to them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Today, you go out and see a customer, roles are reversed. They've got a much, much greater insight
Mm-hmm.
into what is happening in the
Mm-hmm.
industry, and also what they want.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Choice is huge. You know, as much as when I started, there must have been 20 carriers in the market.
Yeah.
Now you got 4 or 5 big organizations that
Mm-hmm.
really dominate the markets. So because of that, you need to make sure that you're on point as often as you can
Mm-hmm.
be. And then I'm not saying that mistakes are going to happen. You know, it
Oh,
depends. You know, we had a couple of weeks back, you know, you had storms, we've had flooding and so forth. It's making sure that you're giving that level of clarity,
yeah.
that visibility as early as you can,
Mm-hmm.
because people can then make their own
Well,
choices
it's
of
the
what they do.
honesty. They want the
Yeah,
upfront and the honesty.
correct.
And if something's gone wrong, it's gone wrong. But
Mm,
we hold our hands up, we move on, and I think that is something that they hold quite in high regard. Or giving
right.
them updates in terms of you're ringing them rather than them coming to you.
Yep.
This might be happening, or this has happened with the US and the de minimis. We think we could do
Sure.
X, Y, Z. Just
Yeah.
giving a different perspective. What do you love about your job?
Oh God, that's a good question. Um, I have loved this industry
Mm-hmm.
for the interaction that I've been able to have,
Mm-hmm.
the influence that I've been able to have. I can interact with thousands of people,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, being able to see individuals as well who I have either assisted in the development of their career, or I've known, you know, I've got colleagues that are working with me now
Mm-hmm.
that worked with me 10, 20 years ago. So that's what I love about my job.
Mm-hmm.
The influence I can have in doing the role that I do now is something I'm very, very privileged to have.
Yeah.
And in some ways, I've got the best job at the back end of my career.
Yeah.
I'm 60 now, you know, so
Come
at
on.
some point I'll have to retire. But yeah, I've probably got the best job that I've had through my career. The benefit I have though is there's a bit of, you know, being a bit long in the tooth
Mm-hmm.
means you've got a bit of experience,
Yeah.
and that stands you in pretty good stead.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. And do you think there's been obviously X amount of years in the industry? Has there ever been a setback that you faced throughout your career that actually became a turning point for you?
Again, another really good question. I remember going back in time
Mm.
when I was working for TNT, that we were accused of something, yeah,
Okay.
which was never proven, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that was probably one of the hardest times that I had in my career about going out, convincing whether it be government or
Right.
whether it was customers to make sure that you could reset the balance again. Making sure that when you are putting things into the market,
Mm-hmm.
that they're as watertight as you can make them.
Mm-hmm.
That you have the transparency as well, I think has been key. You know,
Yeah.
I spend a lot of my time making sure that we can be as transparent as we can.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Interesting. Is there a story throughout your career that makes you laugh when you tell it? There must be
Yeah, I can
lots.
give you. Well, we're in London.
Yeah.
I remember back in the day, I was
Mm-hmm.
working for a product called TNT Supermail,
Okay.
and this was a satchel service. It was A3 and A4
Mm-hmm.
satchels, and we had a marketing campaign which was around Save the Panda.
Okay.
So somebody in marketing thought it was a great idea for us all to be
Don't
dressed,
know where this is
yeah, all
going.
dressed, no word of a lie, in panda costumes at Euston Station, just above where, if you remember, you remember where the tube comes out into Euston trains. That's where we stood. Yeah,
Okay.
at peak. So at the peak rush hour. So you can imagine when people are trying to get to work, the
Yeah.
last thing they're looking to engage with is
Panda.
somebody dressed, 4 or 5 of us, I may add, yeah, in panda costumes.
Okay.
So that's, but I've got many, many stories like
My
that. That's just one of them.
goodness. Oh dear, honestly. We've touched on sort of logistics in the industry and involvement and things such as that. Is there any trends you're seeing that you think might stick?
I've mentioned out of home. I think
Mm.
that is a trend that'll stick.
Yeah.
I think, look, I still think the predominance will be home delivery.
Yes.
Yeah, people still, I think, really appreciate and want things delivered to their home.
Yeah.
But we've all got busy lives.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if I look at the youth of today, they don't want to have to wait in for that item.
No.
So I think giving the capability and the availability
Mm-hmm.
of people to be able to collect that or have that delivered
Mm-hmm.
at a time that suits them,
Yeah.
that to me is going to be key. So I do think the out of home piece. So
Mm-hmm.
why are we talking to supermarkets?
Yeah.
Why are we looking at Collect Plus? Because people don't necessarily want to do this as a standalone activity.
No.
If they can do that activity
As
whilst
part of. Yeah.
correct, to me that's better use of their time.
Mm-hmm.
Their time is precious. All our times are precious. So I do think that will become more of a key element in our market.
Yeah.
That and as I say, that's why we're trying to embrace that the way that we are.
Yeah. That's interesting. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Look after the people on the way up.
Yeah, because you never know when you
You
need them on the
never
way
know when
down.
you're going to need them, right?
Yeah.
And that's again, from a leadership point of view, I regard myself, I might be wrong, as pretty humble. I remember
Mm-hmm.
where I came from, and I think you always have to, keep that rooted in yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and make sure that you're looking after them as you're coming through. It really does go a long way.
Yeah, I agree with you. So we've covered a lot around Royal Mail,
Mhm.
innovation, what's to come from the business, things you're passionate about, which is
Sure.
your people and the transformation, things like that, and what customers are really expecting from carriers. Is there anything else you'd like to touch on with me today?
I think the international, I mean, we started
Mm,
to talk about international and what is happening in that
yeah.
space, I think is going to be another a big change we're going to see. Mr. Trump with tariff changes
Mm-hmm.
has woken up, I think, Europe and
Yeah.
also all countries about looking at what it does. De minimis values
Mm-hmm.
are going to be different. So I think that will change the whole pretext of what international is.
Mm-hmm.
We had to pivot quite quickly
Yeah.
when the United States made the change direction through Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm.
We had to get ourselves into a position very, very quickly that we could still provide services to our customers who wanted to
Yeah.
transact with the States. I think Europe is going through a similar change right now.
Mm-hmm.
I can start picking out countries that you can already see this is changing. So I think handling charges, customs tariff charges
Yeah.
are going to change. De minimis values will be something of in question.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the be able to transact over a border is going to become a bit more difficult than it is
Yeah.
today. That's a trend that I think you'll see. I think I haven't spoken about AI.
Mm-hmm.
AI will become more and more of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, you adopted AI pretty early on, didn't
We
you?
did, and we continue to. We use it in different parts of the organization. Everything will have its part.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you'll ever get away, though, from having that interaction on the doorstep. That piece there, I think, is something you're not going to get a piece of automation or a piece of AI to do for
No.
you. However, in saying that, we've got drone deliveries that we deliver today, parcel deliveries. And, we've got micro vehicles that we're putting onto the road. So it's not just electric vehicles. You've got
Yeah.
so honestly, Nika, there's so many different things
It's
that you
unbelievable.
can
No
then
wonder you
look
get
at.
up at 4 o'clock.
It's a lot to read.
It's
There's
a
a lot
lot
to
to
read.
do. But I do think you're right. All of this tech is exciting and it is the
Yeah,
future, but you cannot escape that human to human
right,
engagement and interaction, seeing the whites of someone's eyes
right.
and building that rapport. I was telling you about my postman, wasn't I?
You will. You told me the other day, though.
Moving house, and
Yeah,
then he'd come to my new house, saw something, felt it was important, wasn't on my patch, and brought it to me.
it's just amazing, isn't
A
it?
robot's not going to do that, is
No,
it?
correct. And that's the thing. That becomes the single. I said before, the single biggest USP that we
Mm,
have is that interaction that we have on the doorstep.
mm. Or I'm ordering too many parcels.
Maybe.
Is this one
Who
of
knows?
two?
Order more.
Oh, well, that's it, definitely. So at the end of our podcast, we do have a little bit of a quick fire round because the
Fine.
audience like to know a little bit about our guests, if you're comfortable.
Fire away.
Okay. So, dogs or cats?
Dogs.
Favorite holiday destination?
Caribbean.
Oh, lovely. Have you been a lot?
Yes, and I'm going again in April.
Oh, really? One food you could eat every day?
Oh, that's a good question. One food I can
Don't
eat
say
every day.
curry. All the men are
I like a
saying
bit of toast in
curry.
the morning
Toast.
or a bit of marmalade on it. There you go.
Yeah, there you go. Is there a podcast, a book, or a film that's really inspired you?
Um, that's again a good question. I watch a lot of films.
Yeah,
Yeah. I watch a lot of shows as well.
yeah.
Books wise, not really.
Mm-hmm.
I like to read a lot. I'm still a paper guy. I don't like the digital piece. So
Yeah.
if I go on
You're not into
holiday,
the
I
Kindles.
like to have my wife's into a Kindle. I like a bit of paper.
Yeah.
So I like a lot of fiction.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like something you can escape to.
I was going to say an
Um,
escapism.
From a film point of view, no, I love The Godfather when that
Okay.
came out. I don't know if it would. I can't say that inspired me. That'd be the wrong thing to say. So look, I think there's a lot of influence you can get from films and so forth, and
Mm-hmm.
I do, either good or bad. I watch a lot of them.
Yeah, no, I hear you. What makes you smile?
Um, Life, I think, life in general makes me
Mm-hmm.
smile. I've got a fairly good. My cup's half full. It's not
Yeah.
half empty. So, I have a fairly decent disposition, hopefully.
Yes, no, I agree with that. Is there a guilty pleasure you're willing to admit on air?
Salted caramel ice cream.
That's my favourite.
I love salted caramel ice cream
Very
or sticky
good.
toffee pudding.
Oh my goodness, I have to have that with custard. If that's ever on the menu. Is there a question you wish people would ask you more often?
Is there a question that people? Okay. How are you?
Yeah.
Sometimes, I mean, look, in the role that I'm in, yeah, you're just expected,
Yeah.
yeah,
To crack on.
to crack on,
Mm.
So I think, I ask it a lot the other way, yeah, asking me a bit more.
Oh, well, your chief of staff's listening, so he'll
Yeah,
be rallying the troops, saying, make sure you
absolutely.
ask Alistair how he is tomorrow.
Be got out tomorrow. You watch.
Yeah, bless you. And I think that is us done. We've got through those quite quickly. Have you enjoyed it?
I have, yeah. It's been good.
Yeah. Is there
It's been really good.
anything else you feel you'd like to address?
I don't think
You,
so.
we've
I look,
covered quite a bit, haven't
I could
we?
keep you sitting here for hours and tell you about Royal Mail, but look, I think we've given, I think, a good insight into the size and
It's been a
scale of the
nice sort of
organisation.
holistic overview for
Yeah,
people that know Royal Mail of old, but
yeah,
it has evolved a lot, hasn't it?
correct. People see the vans, people see the posties.
Yeah.
It's much, much bigger than that.
Mm.
More involved. Um, that's one thing that I think coming here and understanding the scale of this,
Mm-hmm.
it really is, and you can't think of the scale.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny. I say that a lot to people. The size and breadth of the organisation, you can't think of it like that.
So how many people are you managing then? How many are within the business?
So if you within the operation, 140,000 at peak, 110 normally, you'd say about 130,000
Yeah.
as a standard. Yeah, that then involves everybody. It's pretty sizable.
And how many direct reports do you have?
7. The benefit I've got, I've always advocated having the right people around you, doing the right things, empowering them,
Yeah.
makes your job a lot easier. So the benefit is you can then lean into the areas you want to and need to lean into.
Yeah.
But it's about having the right people around you, all focused and hopefully focused towards one common goal.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, 7 probably seems a lot, but genuinely it's not.
Yeah. And did you inherit those individuals or did they come with you?
Some I did. Some I've made changes to
Nice.
make that better. You're always looking at how that is. Some people see their career in other places. Sometimes it works for them, and maybe it doesn't work for you, or vice
Yeah.
versa.
There's
So
timing's everything, isn't it, as well?
timing is everything. Making sure you've got the right experience around you. The benefit I had stepping into this, I was able to backfill myself from one of my team members.
Ah,
So
okay.
that's a great
Yes,
opportunity.
for
The
sure.
guy that was my lead HR for the operation is now my chief people officer.
Okay.
Charles, as we've just been
Charles.
talking about,
Yeah.
my chief of staff was my chief of staff when I was in the operation. So this is making
Okay.
sure you've got the right, who know your ways of working.
Yeah.
Because we've all got our little quirks and
Yeah.
idiosyncrasies, and hopefully I've not got too many Charles. But yeah,
Brilliant. Well, thank you for coming, Alistair. It's been a
thank
real
you.
pleasure. I'm very honoured to have had you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so
Cheers.
much.